Welcome back to the NCC Sports Report, and it's time now for NCC FC. I'm Drew Von Sayo.
And I'm Geraldo Reid. Let's get right into it with some Copa America action. The United States won their opening game last night 2-0 against Bolivia. Christian Pulisic and Florian Balogun netted goals in the win. The U.S. is one of 4 countries that is considered a favorite, along with Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina.
And Colombia is currently on a 22-game unbeaten streak, while Argentina and Brazil are known powerhouses. So moving into the Euros now, the group stage has finished up. The round of 16 teams are being finalized. Geraldo, what has stood out to you to this point of the tournament?
I think the tournament has so far, the beginning was very electric. I think everybody was, in tune, everybody was entertained. And I think towards the end of the group stages, the second and third games, when people knew there was a lot on the line, it became more mundane. And I think it became a lot, from the eye test, it wasn't terrible to watch, but at the same time, it wasn't like the first or second games for certain respects. But I think the main observation that I realized was that the matches between the smaller teams on paper, they've been more entertaining because I think there's no expectation. They're in the tournament just to do their best, and if they're dark horses, that could be the case. And I think the games between the bigger teams, because they know there's a lot on the line, there's a lot of pressure, expectations by the media of their respective countries and the fans, they want to make sure that the ball goes into the net rather than taking, shots from far out. And I think in the group stages, there was like the most shots from outside the box, and majority of those were from the smaller teams. So I just think the bigger teams, they haven't been that entertaining, but I think towards the latter end of the stages, that's when they show up.
And one of those other big teams that really struggled at times was Portugal. Roberto Martinez, the manager, went back and forth a lot with his tactics, starting with a defensive 3-4-3 in the opening match against the Czech Republic, had to come from behind in that win, then turned to a more attacking 4-2-3-1 against Turkey. We saw a difference there. Portugal looked much more fluid in possession and also in the attack. And then in the match today against Georgia, going right back to another defensive 3-4-3. So I think you've got to find a way to settle the tactics down, find something consistent, because now's not the time to experiment. It's a time to go in with a clear identity, a clear focus, and strategy of what you're going to do. And so one of the other things, too, is Bernardo Silva.
Yep.
He's been utilized as a winger for the first 2 matches for Portugal, rested today against Georgia.
Yep.
He's not a winger. Pep Guardiola gets the best out of Bernardo Silva and Manchester City by playing him as a box-to-box midfielder.
Yep.
And we saw that in the game against Turkey. Bernardo Silva was in the middle of the pitch. That was where he scored his goal. So I think for a Portuguese perspective, you've got to make these changes if you seriously want to be a threat going into the knockout stages. Otherwise, Portugal's going to go out in the round of 16.
Yeah, and I think this is not the time for... this is not 2016. Bernardo Silva was in 2016. He was an out-and-out winger. And unfortunately, for the 2016 triumph that they had over France, he wasn't able to go because of injury. Now that it's in 2024, where he has been converted to an out-and-out midfielder, he's not a winger. You have Jota that can play that position. You should not be playing a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back in some respects versus teams that are lesser than you. You have to play 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, where you can get the best attacking talents out of your attacking options.
Yeah.
Yep.
And speaking of teams that should be doing well in the Euros, should be getting the best out of attacking options, English manager Gareth Southgate being criticized. England poor the entire group stage,
Yep.
mainly in part because of lineup selection. So, Geraldo, if you were England's manager, what would your lineup be?
Well, it would definitely be something different from what Gareth Southgate is picking at the moment. Right now, I would have Jordan Pickford in goal. I would have Kyle Walker right back, John Stones, Mark Gahey, and Trippier at the left centre-back and left back. Then I have Rice in the pivot, alongside Bellingham, Palmer, my Chelsea boy, in the cam. And then I have a front 3 of Foden on the left, Kane up front. Then I'll have Saka on the right. And I think the way you would get the best out of these attacking talents is playing this formation. We've seen him shoehorn in Trent Alexander-Arnold right beside of Rice. And in the first couple games, it has not worked. The experiment has not worked. So you can't do that all the time expecting a different result. And I think if you have Saka that's been over 20 goals and assists in the season, the young player of the season, Cole Palmer, over 33 goals and assists in the Premier League this season. Phil Foden, the Premier League player of the year, and Harry Kane, over 30 goals in the Bundesliga. But at the same time, they only scored 1 goal in the Euros. This is not acceptable at all.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's one of those things you've got to get the most out of your players. I went with a slightly different look, though. I went with Aaron Ramsdale in goal here for England. Back four, much of the same. Kyle Walker, a right back. John Stones, Mark Gahey as my center backs. I went Joe Gomez to round out the back four, with Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice in the midfield, Cole Palmer as the 10, and that same front three, Foden, Kane, Saka. I went with Ramsdale. I think he gives England a little bit more sense of control in possession, help to start that attack from the back. And then Joe Gomez, I know he's not a natural left back, but it helps to create balance. Kyle Walker can be a bit more attacking minded. Gomez helps to provide some balance there defensively. But to your point, England's very poor lack of goal scoring threats this entire tournament, and it's something that really needs to improve moving forward, because otherwise England's set to play a third place finisher in the round of 16, and that could be one of the biggest upsets of the tournament.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think the only difference that you and I have in our starting 11 is your difference with Ramsdale and me choosing Pickford. And the reason why I choose Pickford is because he's never let us down since the World Cup of 2018. And I think he's just, I don't say let us down, I don't support England, but the teams that we're talking about, I don't think he's never let down England in these tournaments. So I just kept with consistency. And I think Trippier, he's played left back when he was at Tottenham, when Kyle Walker was there at Tottenham as well. And so I think he can play that position, but I think our main similarities that we want to see in the team is Bellingham beside her, right next to Rice, and Palmer in the 10. I think that would be great, yeah.
So then for our last segment here on NCCFC, Geraldo and I are going to do a quiz, going back and forth with each other on our favorite teams. I'm an Arsenal fan. Geraldo's a Chelsea fan. We're going to put each other on the spot here. Neither of us know what questions the other is going to ask. We're going to go back and forth. So, Geraldo, are you ready?
Are you ready, Drew?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, I'll let you go first.
Okay. So, Chelsea legend Frank Lampard spent 14 years at Stamford Bridge. Yeah. Which club did Chelsea buy him from in 2001?
It was West Ham.
You are correct.
I go into the second question now.
Oh, you're up.
I'm up. Okay. And I remember that when he did go to Chelsea, his uncle, which was I forgot his name. Yeah, his uncle. He was going straight to the top. So I think that's something interesting. So for you, Drew, for your first question, what Arsenal player played every minute for Arsenal this season?
Would have been Gabriel Magalhaes.
Nah, I'll give you one more guess. But you're on the right track though.
If it's not him, it's got to be Saliba.
There you go.
Oh, that's right, because Gabriel was benched the first couple of games with the Saudi League interest. Yep.
You know your stuff, man.
Okay, so then moving on. In the 2004-2005 season, Chelsea set the record for fewest goals conceded in Premier League history. How many goals did Chelsea give up that year?
555. 15.
There you go. You got it.
Okay, second question for you, Drew. I'll give you this is an easy one. What is Arsenal's nickname, and what is the name of the mascot?
Gunners and Gunnar the Gunnersaurus.
Yes, sir. You got it.
All right, and my last question here for you. I feel like this one's probably the hardest of the three. It's one of the more recent ones, though. So in 2021, Chelsea defeated Real Madrid in the Champions League semifinals. That game needed both legs to decide the winner, but who scored the winning goal in that second leg?
So the first leg, Christian Pulisic scored the first goal, and that ended 1-1. The second leg, however, Timo Werner scored the first goal with a header, and the second goal was scored by Mason Mount.
Mason Mount, yeah. Werner was the answer I was looking for because it was technically the winning one, but you got it all, so there you go.
All right, final question for you, and this will be a bit of a hard one, and it'll probably rub salt on the wounds as well. You laugh at it. Name the starting 11 for Arsenal versus Chelsea in the Europa League final in 2019.
They had Cech in goal. A back three, was Mertesacker still there?
Nope.
He had Socrates.
Yep.
David Luiz.
Nope, he was in us.
He was still at Chelsea then?
He was at us, yeah.
No, that was Mustafi, right?
Nope.
No Mustafi either. Wow, I'm drawing a blank at the center back.
You're on the right track, though. It was a back three.
So it was a back three, okay. Was Kolasinac in the back three?
Yep.
And then who would have been the other one? I'm blanking.
You need help?
Yeah.
I'll give it the back three. It was Koscielny, Socrates.
Koscielny,
and
okay.
then you would have, then you have Kolasinac in the
Yeah.
left centre back. So
Okay.
who was the right wing back, left wing back, and keep going?
So I feel like the right wing back would have been Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Yeah.
Left wing back, Kieran Tierney.
Oh, he wasn't there yet.
He wasn't there yet. Who would that have been?
He's Spanish.
Oh, Nacho Monreal.
There we go.
And then midfield would have been, is Cazorla still there or no?
Uruguayan.
Uruguay. Oh, Lucas Torreira.
Yeah.
And then alongside of him, that would have been
Is that Leverkusen now?
Granit Xhaka.
Yeah.
Mesut Ozil is the 10.
Yeah.
And then,
Can't go wrong with these two now.
yeah, Alexander Lacazette, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Come on, you got it, man.
There we go.
There we go. Those
All
are
right.
3 questions.
So that's the only time we have here on NCCFC, and a little bit of trivia knowledge to help you win your next competition. I'm Drew Von Saya.
And I'm Geraldo Reid. Have a good day, Central New York.